Republican Rand Paul wants Senate Majority Leader Democrat Chuck Schumer to be impeached, using the same criteria that the Democrats used to justify the Trump impeachment. Paul's argument is based on a comment that Schumer made last year as the US Supreme Court was preparing to hear the case on the abortion issue. At a pro-abortion rally, Schumer warned Supreme Court Associated Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch that they will pay the price if they went ahead with awful decisions. Schumer was threatening both justices with violence if they ruled against what is considered pro-choice. Responding to Schumer's threat, the Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts rebuked the Democrat for his dangerous comments. Paul notes that if Trump is going to get impeached for inciting insurrection through his January 6 speech that allegedly triggered the Capitol attack, then Schumer also must be impeached on the same basis. This inflammatory wording, this violent rhetoric of Chuck Schumer was so bad that the Chief Justice, who rarely says anything publicly, immediately said that this kind of language is dangerous as a mob tried to invade the Supreme Court, he said in the interview. Paul pointed out that other Democrats like Ilhan Omar and Maxine Waters are also not held responsible for their constant inflammatory comments. Paul says there is no consistent standard determining what type of speech will lead to impeachment. As such, the decision of who to impeach essentially ends up becoming a partisan decision, which Paul claims is clearly unfair. He accused the Democrat Party of practicing double standards, of criminalising Republican speech while turning a blind eye to the behaviour of Democrats who have repeatedly called for violence. Meanwhile, Republican Liz Cheney, who voted to impeach Trump in the House of Representatives, has put forward the possibility of the former president facing a criminal investigation for his role in provoking the January 6 riots. In an interview with Fox News, Cheney highlighted one of Trump's tweets that was directed at the vice president. People will want to know what the president was doing. They will want to know whether the tweet he sent out calling Vice President Mike Pence a coward while the attack was underway was a premeditated attempt to provoke violence, she said in the interview. Cheney has been facing strong opposition from fellow Republicans for taking a part in impeaching Trump, with the party office in her hometown of Wyoming demanding that she resign immediately. Meanwhile, the possibility of Trump being successfully impeached at the Senate trial is exceptionally slim, as it would require the vote of 67 senators. Since the Senate is split 50-50, it would mean that at least 70 Republicans need to stand with the Democrats to impeach Trump, which is something that most political experts do not think will happen. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, will be releasing his memoir on April 6 this year. The book, titled Beautiful Things, will be published by Simon & Schuster's imprint Gallery Books. Both parties had signed a contract for the book in fall 2019. The memoir will cover incidents involving Hunter's family and his fight against substance abuse, something that should provide plenty of material for the book. Hunter has gone through at least 6 rehabilitation instances for alcohol and addiction, including a 2016 rehab for a crack binge. The 51-year-old's drug addiction became the trigger for his divorce from Kathleen Buell, with whom he has 3 kids. Hunter also fathered a child with a former stripper from Washington, D.C., who eventually sued him for paternity. Hunter's upcoming book details have come out after Joe Biden recently commented that none of his family members would be involved in the government in any capacity. A snippet released by the gallery quotes Hunter as saying that he comes from a family forged by tragedies. At a recent White House press briefing, Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked whether federal officials had reviewed Hunter's book before clearing it. Psaki did not answer the question. Instead, she read out a statement from Joe and Jill Biden, which said, "We admire our son Hunter's strength and courage to talk openly about his addiction so that others might see themselves in his journey and find hope. This is a personal book about his own personal journey, and we will leave it at that." While Hunter's book is getting intense media attention, it seems as if book publishers are getting increasingly biased by political considerations. A case in point is a book by Republican Senator Josh Hawley called The Tyranny of Big Tech that was scheduled to come out in June. Publisher Simon & Schuster have announced that they are cancelling the book due to Hawley's alleged connection to the January 6 Capitol riots. Many see him as partially responsible for the attack on Capitol Hill. Before the riots, Hawley was photographed on his way to the Senate with his fist raised, a gesture that has also been interpreted as promoting the riots.